Craig, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, perfect. We want to welcome everyone back to Girls Talk Football, our episode 4. We have Craig back with us this week as we're going over the AFC North division. Today we are going over the Baltimore Ravens. But first off, I want to actually start and talk to you guys about the big news that's been going on with Brett Favre. So apparently he's in the middle of some embezzlement scheme, and he received $1.1 million in Mississippi welfare funds for speeches and events and things that he reportedly never gave.
Yeah, that was news to me when I saw that, because I saw that the state of Mississippi spent millions of dollars of welfare on concerts, cars, and Brett Favre events that didn't even happen. And apparently, they got audited.
So maybe it was some kind of like tax thing or something, or
I don't know. I mean,
I'm
did
not
you
sure.
did you hear about that, Craig, at all?
Yeah, and I really hope this isn't true. I mean, his legacy has already kind of withstood a lot of
Yeah,
heat.
yeah.
He's definitely had some scandals, but it's one thing to be accused of embezzlement, but to be accused of embezzlement or claiming funds he hasn't earned from temporary assistance for needy families, that's just that's just on a whole nother level. That could
Yeah.
really sink his legacy.
And $1.1 million, that's a good amount of money, and that could go a long way for the state of Mississippi.
Yeah, especially who knows how long this has been going on for.
Mhm.
Well, it has been going on for coronavirus. I don't know, it might have been pre-coronavirus, but that money they could allocate could help people during this time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was reading too. It says that he won't face any criminal charges, but still, I mean, it's still another sort of, like you said, Craig, another sort of like scandalous, another pinpointed on his name, like a pin the tail on a donkey kind of thing.
Sometimes it doesn't matter if he's exonerated or if it's a whole misunderstanding. When you're in the court of public opinion, it doesn't matter if he's guilty or not. The fact that we're talking about it is pretty damning on his end.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as soon as I got up this morning, I think I saw posts about it right away because I follow a bunch of sports things, obviously, and yeah, a bunch of them posted about it today. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, today we are talking about the Baltimore Ravens. So I have my couple of fun facts. They were established in 1996. They are actually one of the most successful teams in the franchise with 12 NFL playoff appearances since 2000 and 2 Super Bowl championships. And they are actually the only team to hold a perfect record in multiple Super Bowl appearances. I actually found this pretty interesting. They're worth $2.59 billion, making them the 29th most valuable sports franchise in the world. So another thing I found pretty interesting, Craig, which I don't know if you actually knew about this. So Art Modell, the original owner of the Ravens, actually owned the Browns and tried to take the Browns to Baltimore. But Cleveland and the fans had a big uproar, and they were actually suspended for a year. And they started the Baltimore Ravens, and then the Cleveland Browns came back with an extension.
So yeah, Browns fans were not happy about this at all, and fortunately we were able to keep the history in Cleveland. But this was not a good thing back in the day. I was little, so I remember hearing like my parents talking about it and things like that. But side note, what's the rating on this podcast? Is this rated G, PG-13?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
We're going to go Pat McAfee. It's Barstool Sports.
Okay. So Browns fans were literally pissing on his grave when he died. Okay. We'll just put it that way. Okay. And you can look that up. That's true stories. But yeah, Cleveland wasn't happy. Baltimore, they've enjoyed a lot of success. As a Browns fan, it makes me wonder what would have been had they stayed in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. That's crazy because Baltimore is a very solidified franchise, and from what we're doing the research on them, Tiffany found like they're a solidified franchise. Like I didn't know they were 29th in the world.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say too. I know we talked about the Browns yesterday, and doing research on the Browns yesterday, and then doing research on the Ravens again today. It's actually pretty interesting to see a team like the Browns who have had like over 30 coaches. They haven't really had much consistency. end of their franchise. Whereas, the Ravens have only had 3 coaches, and their current head coach has been there since 2008.
No offense, though, Craig. We're just saying the facts here.
None taken. I on one hand, it's kind of hard to see. On another hand, or it's kind of hard to wish well on the Ravens, but they've done it year after year. Their defense has always been a big part of that. I still don't know how you win a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer, but Brad, yeah, he didn't win us one in Cleveland, so.
Yeah, and I was going to say, going off of that, they have Lamar Jackson, who, was drafted 32nd pick in 2018 and was a backup for Flacco. But after he got a hip injury, he started at week 11, and they finished the season 10-6, getting them their first playoff appearance since 2014. Which actually gave Lamar Jackson the youngest starting quarterback to ever play in a playoff game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Lamar Jackson, I think Lamar Jackson for sure is a very pivotal player in this league now for how young he is. And, you talked about yesterday too, Greg, how long is he going to last in this offensive scheme, he runs the ball a lot. He's not a small guy, but I mean, it's gonna be interesting but like you said, it's gonna be interesting how teams figure him out. So, but I think everybody's always looking for. He's one of those players like Patrick Mahomes. Everybody's always looking forward to what he has to offer every season.
I think it's really going to come down to what type of players he is. I mean, is he going to be Michael Vick, where everybody knows exactly what he's going to do and they just can't stop him anyways? Or is he going to be one of these guys that, Bill Belichick, plays him, figures out how to stop him, everybody copies the game plan, and he fades out. I think this will be a telling year, especially with the expectations he's going to have considering the season he had last year.
Yeah, for only being drafted in 2018, he made a pretty big name for himself right out of the gate. So yeah, he definitely has set a high bar for himself to definitely live up to. And going off of you talking about Patrick Mahomes, they actually talked about the Ravens, 2 of their draft picks. They drafted 2 defensive linebackers, and they're calling them now the new dynamic duo. They are Patrick Queen and Malik Harrison, and they are saying that these guys have the ability to stop, Patrick Mahomes and guys like that, who are the last 2 teams that they lost to that prevented them from getting to the Super Bowl.
So I was reading actually with Patrick Queen. He's actually got the 3rd best odds as far as Vegas is concerned to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. The only 2 guys ahead of him as far as Vegas is concerned is Chase Young and Isaiah Simmons. Now he's tied with a number of guys at 3rd, like Jeff Okudah, who was drafted by the Lions, linebacker Kenneth Murray, who was picked about 5 spots ahead of him. But it'll be interesting to see if he follows through and pairing that with that defensive backfield that they have with, I mean, you have Humphrey, you have Earl Thomas, you have, a number of guys on that side of the ball that can really save their butts through the season. I mean, don't get me wrong, they have great offense, but there's holes in that offense.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ravens have always had a solid defense, and I love John Harbaugh. I think that the way he comes up with his offensive defense, I feel like Ravens are so different on each side of the ball. I feel like they offer so much, and you just don't know where you're going to get with them. And I think that researching Malik Harrison from Ohio, they lost to the Titans in the divisional round, and they need people who are going to take on Derrick Henry the size of that. So they're adding different size of players, they're adding different depth to it, which is always good because you see this team being consistent with how they're trying to grow and progress.
Yeah. Well, on the offensive end, too, they have this J.K. Dobbs that they drafted. And I was reading an article that they're comparing him to Ezekiel Elliott.
I think that's a comparison that's kind of low-hanging fruit, I think, because they both came from Ohio State. It's definitely going to be a running back by committee with Mark Ingram being there. And then J.K. Dobbins, they'll split the time, but Lamar Jackson's going to be the star, no doubt. What I'm skeptical of is their wide receiver core. After you have Marquise Brown, you have Willie Snead, Miles Boykin, and a bunch of guys you've never heard of before. So no matter how good their line is or how good their run game is, or no matter how good their tight end play is, these guys got to get down the field, get open, or Lamar Jackson's going to be carrying the team on his back.
Exactly, and that's what the point you go back saying, like, how can he continue to carry this team with the type of player that he is? So, I mean, but no, I think, like you said too, it depends. Like, I think the thing they need to work on this year is definitely have their wide receiver depth chart be more experienced and more filled, But they're always have great tight end play because Mark Andrews, man, he is a beast. So
let me ask you guys this. Do you think that the Ravens rely too much on their defensive end? Because, they also just They also just traded 2 free agents, Calais Campbell and Derek Wolfe, who were from Jacksonville and Denver, who, both have pretty good stats last year. Calais Campbell had 56 tackles and 6.5 sacks, and Wolfe had 34 tackles and 7 sacks.
Yeah, they got a great pair of DNs, or the DN for Calais Campbell and Derek Wolfe. I mean, the delete Calais Campbell, that one hurt, man. He's the mayor of Jacksonville. He got the key to the city. I mean, he's the one that starts Saxonville. He's for sure, from a Jaguars fan, man, like, he's for sure going to be missed. But unfortunately, Jaguars are just trying to make salary cap from a couple years of bad, horrible decisions. But him going to Ravens is perfect. Honestly, like, it's just the purpose of him being in Jacksonville, the defense they had a few years ago. This is the Ravens. I love them because I love talking about this team because there's always rebuilding, always looking to get better, and they always get better every year too.
Well, and here's the article too. It says that Ravens added 6 more undrafted free agents, making their total of 14.
To the rookies? Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll be able to. The goal is always with the undrafted free agents is kind of find that diamond in the rough through training camp. So maybe they'll find somebody that can help them out. Like I was saying before, at wide receiver, that'd be great. They also just re-signed Pramel McPhee today, which is kind of keeps that linebacking core together. So I think defense is the way these guys win a championship if it happens.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Exactly. Because, like, I mean, would you say, Craig, in your opinion, and Tiffany's too, would you say that the Ravens lost last year in the divisional round because of poor defensive play, or would you say it's poor offensive play? Because you always got to go back to that game and look at how they lost to the Titans,
when they lost to the Titans, it cast some serious doubt in my mind on how strong this team actually was. And granted, they didn't have a great record coming out of the regular season. But nobody wants to lose to Ryan Tannehill, especially in the playoffs. And maybe from a Titans standpoint, Mike Vrabel just had that defense on point. Maybe that was a defensive victory. I'm kind of undecided, but my main takeaway was it didn't inspire a lot of confidence in this team.
No, I don't know. I don't think, and they're sort of a young, inexperienced team at the same time too. Don't get me wrong about Titans. They had that last year. Titans reminded me of the Jacksonville Jaguars back in 2017 when they went to the AFC Championship. As much as I will admit to anybody, I hate Tennessee with a fire.
I pick on him about it all the time.
Oh my gosh. I gotta give Tennessee its respects and its dues for being the Baltimore Ravens, because honestly, I honestly thought the Baltimore Ravens would be the Super Bowl winner. I thought it was going to be a repeat of 2013, Baltimore versus, San Fran.
That would have been an interesting story to play out for sure. The narratives that week would have, or those 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl would have been great. That was the lights out game, wasn't it? Or the power went out?
Yeah, that was the Beyonce halftime show, I believe. Wasn't that? I believe so.
Yeah, that was,
the Beyonce at halftime.
Colin Kaepernick's last show.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now I know that we're going through the AFC North, and as Tiffany continues to bring up all these team facts and do these research about their to get everybody familiar with it. I mean, I know this might be premature because we haven't gone through the AFC North yet. Do you guys think that like they're the division favorites?
I definitely think they're the division favorites. Looking at what the Steelers bring, they're kind of iffy on their roster with Ben Roethlisberger and what they're doing on their offensive end. And, we talked about the Browns yesterday. And then, you have Cincinnati, who they're relying, on Joe Burrow, this new quarterback draft pick that they got this year because, they got rid of Andy Dalton. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I definitely think that they're the favorite in this division for sure.
Yeah. What do you think, Greg?
I think that when you look at the AFC North, I think Cincinnati's just a non-factor. I mean, you can count them out pretty much right away, which we'll, hear more about them when you guys get to Cincinnati in this whole series. But the Steelers, everything's going to hinge on Ben Roethlisberger. He is. Have you guys seen him lately? Like he pops up, he looks like. I can't even describe it, but he looks like he's coming out of a hole.
Yeah, he doesn't look good at all.
No. So who knows what they do at quarterback? Everything changes if they like bring in Cam Newton or something to that effect. But really at this point, I think Ravens are the favorites to win the division. As much as it pains me to say that as a Browns fan, I mean, based on what we saw last year and who they added this year, I don't see how they're not.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, honestly, Steelers they hung on with it till the very end with Mason Rudolph and Devlin Duck Hodges, but I don't know. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're so like I think the past couple of years have been so iffy. You don't know like what you're gonna get. I think it's going to be very interesting with the AFC North. I think it's going to be a very interesting division because I think you're right. Cincinnati is a non-factor. I think they're just trying to rebuild and trying to get their quarterback. I think Cleveland is on their I think Cleveland's always going to put up a fight. They're always going to because did they tie the Steelers the first game of the year like a year or two ago? They're always going to give everybody the AFC North is a division where everybody's going to give each other
a run for their money.
The AFC North, and it's true with a lot of divisions, but the interdivision play, those games are always interesting because it doesn't matter how good or bad you are. Both teams are going to put up a fight when they're playing a division rival. I mean, the Browns got their butts whooped, a couple times against these teams. And then on the second half of the season or the other game, they completely whooped the Ravens' butt. They beat the snot out of the Ravens, so it's always who's going to show up, who's showing up that week. It's always going to be a tough fight. It's one of the best things about rooting for a team in this division. And there's a lot of other divisions like that. And then there's more lopsided divisions, like a lot of time the AFC East or, divisions like that where it's so lopsided, it's almost like they throw in the towel. So I love the AFC North.
Yeah, I would definitely say the AFC North is a pretty solid division. They're definitely fun to watch. The games are very lively, entertaining. And like you said, they do bring everything to the table, and
it's a very historic division.
Yeah,
because I don't know. I think because actually the AFC North used to be the AFC Central, because when the Jags first came to the league, they came into the same division as the Browns, Steelers, Bengals, and Ravens.
Some of the teams that are in the NFC were actually in the AFC at that time. The Seahawks used to be an AFC team. So like there was a lot of like a reconfiguration that went along with the conferences and divisions. But, as we're sitting here talking, I'm thinking too, French and Tiffany, what do you think they're going to do if Lamar Jackson goes down? I mean, Robert Griffin's next man up. Is that going to win you enough games to get in the playoffs?
RG3, man, one good rookie year in Washington, and he got hurt, and I mean, Robert Griffin, I think he's a dynamic player. I think I don't know, like, is he the second depth quarterback
yes,
on the roster?
They added I can tell you right now, they added an undrafted free agent. I believe the guy from Utah, Tyler. They have Tyler Huntley and Trace McSorley. And you've probably never heard of these guys for good reason.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you always forget. I remember about RG3. I think he's. I mean, you remember he's a number two overall pick back in 2012. Had a fantastic rookie year. Saw potential with the Washington Redskins, and then it went so downhill from there. Spending time in Cleveland as a backup, and then going to Baltimore. I mean, well, he wasn't a backup in Cleveland. I apologize. He was a starter.
Yes, along with many other guys.
Yeah,
right.
Too many names.
So this is what I'm going to say too. What, thinking about this now, kind of going off what we've been talking about, this trend a little bit too, with these quarterbacks that have been in the league for a little while who are now backups. I'm wondering if now that's going to be the trend going on because, they have all these rookie quarterbacks coming out at a draft that are pretty much basically becoming starters right away. Mm-hmm. So, you have these rookies who are working their asses off to, like Lamar Jackson, who's, running the football as well as being a quarterback, doing pretty much everything he can for his team. Where is he going to be 5 years down the road? Is he going to be in the same situation as Andy Dalton, Cam Newton? Is he going to be worn out? Is he going to be...
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think Lamar's gonna be very interesting to watch. Depends how much because he's very young. He has a long career ahead of him. But yeah, going back to your question, I mean, if for some reason Lamar Jackson goes down, this is what I think. I think Robert Griffin. No offense to him because I don't know him, but we know his play. I believe he's a poor man's Lamar Jackson. If you agree.
Yeah, I agree with that to some extent.
I think if Lamar Jackson was ever to go down, I think Robert Griffin could maintain and implement and copy what Lamar Jackson is doing. Not saying he's completely athletically as at one point he was probably. I mean, Lamar Jackson is what Robert Griffin wish he was, but I don't think people give Griffin enough credit to being. He's a solid back.
I think he's a solid quarterback. He's a smart guy. He's got a huge arm. That's where he has an advantage over Lamar is the arm. You can't allow him to be mobile like he used to because he's just going to get hurt. But going back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, if I'm Cam Newton and the Patriots aren't calling and the Chargers aren't calling, if I have to take a backup job, this is where I'm going because Lamar Jackson has durability questions. I think that he's going to get his full 5 years out of his rookie deal based on what he's accomplished so far. Kind of like Winston did, they gave him his full 5 years. They let him go because he didn't figure it out. But, Cam Newton, I'd almost be more scared of Cam Newton with this offense than Lamar Jackson.
You think if Cam Newton was to go to
Baltimore, yeah.
Baltimore?
So, and we kind of talked about this yesterday. If Cam Newton's ego won't allow him to accept a backup job unless forced to, he won't. But if I was going to be a backup quarterback somewhere and there was a system that was going to cater to my strengths, this is where I'd want to go. Not just because of the fit schematically, but the likelihood of being able to jump in and play, because Lamar Jackson plays his style of play gives him, good odds to end up with an injury at some point. So I don't know. I'd love to hate on Lamar Jackson. I'm not a Lamar Jackson fan, and obviously I'm a Browns fan, but it's Cam Newton, that would be his I would think that would be the right situation for him.
I can see that for sure. I can see that. I think we both can. All of us, three of us, can definitely see Cam Newton being in Baltimore. But you're right, exactly. Does Cam Newton's ego allow him to fit underneath the shadow of Lamar Jackson and be a backup? I know as long as Cam Newton's a free agent, we're always gonna talk about Cam Newton. Is he willing to be a mentor too?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he has it in him. Obviously we don't know him, but
I don't really think he does either. Yeah, we don't know what's going on in his mind and what he's doing, but yeah, he definitely doesn't seem like he's eager to
help out.
Yeah, he's definitely one to take the spotlight and wants to be the center of attention, and I think he wants to be like a Tom Brady, but he just doesn't really match up to what.
In
Well,
fairness,
a
lot of guys that appear to be a lot more humble than Cam don't want to be either. I mean, Eli Manning wanted nothing to do with mentoring anybody. He's like, you guys start me or I'm out,
exactly.
and that's Eli Manning. He's humble. He always appeared to have a good work ethic. He had the brains to do it. It's just.
Same goes for a question about Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I don't see that happening either. And I think that part of that reason being is, and Tiffany, maybe you paid more attention to this when it was going down than me, but I don't think Brett Favre had any interest in mentoring Rodgers any more than Rodgers would with Love.
Yeah, no, that was a big thing too when they drafted Jordan Love. They were talking about, they were bringing up, it's basically an identical situation to when Aaron Rodgers got drafted when they had Brett Favre, and the Packers were essentially trying to push Brett Favre out. And, there was a kind of little bit of bad blood between Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. And, a lot of people are saying that Aaron Rodgers kind of now maybe realizes how Brett Favre feels because he's going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm. I agree because there was a comparison chart we saw where it was identical. I mean,
I think they only got drafted 1 or 2 picks apart from each other, first
same
round,
age, both
from California.
Brett Favre was 35, 36, Aaron Rodgers 36. Very, very scary how comparison that is because I mean, going for the Baltimore Ravens now we're talking about this is like, I mean, all this stuff's gonna be news until something happens, but like, is Aaron Rodgers been willing to mentor Jordan Love? Is Matt LaFleur going to be a Jordan Love lover? Is he going to be more?
Yeah, that's another thing I'm curious to see. Mm-hmm. Obviously we'll get more into this when we talk about the Packers too, but that's another thing I'm curious to see too is how it's going to play out with, everyone's saying that Jordan Love is Matt LaFleur's pick. So is he going to try and pay more attention to and work more with Jordan Love to get him to that quarterback status that he wants, and kind of is Aaron Rodgers going to kind of be pushed to the side, or
it's gonna be interesting to see. Yeah, because is Matt LaFleur going to be all over Jordan Love? So, but as long as these news keep going on, Cam Newton being a free agent, we could talk all day about it too. But I know we're getting to the closing section here soon. But I saw now too breaking news that actually Frank Gore signed a 1-year deal with the Jets, making his 16th season.
Wow!
As a running back, and he's been in the AFC East with 3 teams: Bills, Dolphins, and Jets. Next, he's going to the Patriots next year.
He is definitely an Iron Man. I mean, if you look at the all-time NFL history leading rushers, I mean, you got Emmitt Smith with 18,000 yards and change. Then you have Walter Payton, and then it's Frank Gore. And Frank Gore only needs like 1,500 yards to pass up Walter Payton. And if he can keep from getting hurt and he can find another 2 or 3 years here, he's got a serious shot at least retiring as the number 2 all-time rushing leader.
Easily, but you got to still look at too. He's played like half the time. He's played twice as long as Emmitt Smith.
Right, and Emmitt Smith, I know Walter Payton had a shorter career. Emmitt Smith, didn't he play like 18 seasons though?
Emmitt Smith, 18 seasons. Man, that's a long time. Well, I know Barry Sanders. So he started in 1990.
15 seasons.
15 seasons. Okay. Longer than I thought. I thought Emmitt Smith played like 10.
Okay, so here's this. So now that we're talking about this, with going back to the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, if you look at Gore, he's 36 as a running back, being in the league this long. Mm-hmm. Maybe Lamar Jackson does have what it takes to be in that position, and maybe he does have the capability to carry the Ravens long term and be their franchise quarterback.
Yeah, you do see a trend of players playing longer for sure. Not just kickers anymore, but longer positions.
It's tough for the running backs because they're not valued as much anymore. So unless you really make a name for yourself, kind of like Frank Gore has, teams are going to be quick to bail on you, especially when you get in your 30s. Really, right now, looking at the all-time leading rushers, you have Frank Gore at number 3, Adrian Peterson at number 5. You have to go all the way down to LaShawn McCoy at 22 to find a current player. And, you know, you got guys like Fred Taylor at 17. French, I know you'd be familiar with him, but there, you know, once you get under that, out of the top 25, I mean, Adrian Peterson could, he's at 14 and change. He could easily pass these guys up if he can stay healthy. LaShawn McCoy won't make it much further. He's only at 11 and change. But no, he's in rare company right now. And he's, you know, you must love football to keep playing.
Yeah, for sure.
You must love it. And it's always a good paycheck too, you know, but who doesn't love Frank Gore? I mean, he did amazing in San Francisco. He did great with the Colts. And he did, you know, great with the Dolphins, Jets, and Bills. Now Jets. Now he's going to the Patriots in the AFC. He's an AFC East lover, that's for sure. You know, I got a lot of respect for Frank Gore. I think he's an amazing player. I hope he plays as long as he can because he definitely puts that stereotype aside where running backs play 5 to 8 years.
And I mean, the guys he's passed up. I mean, you know, you look at the guys in the top 10, you know, you get down to, you got number 4, Barry Sanders, then Adrian Peterson, Curtis Martin, LaDainian Tomlinson, Jerome Bettis, Eric Dickerson, Tony Dorsett. Mm-hmm. I mean, these guys are immortal. And then you get to Jim Brown and Marshall Falcon, though. So he's a surefire Hall of Famer. There's no way he doesn't get into the Hall of Fame.
Just talking about these running backs, it's just how many greatness is in running backs. You think about, people talk about quarterbacks, man, I'm like, man, look at the greatness there is in running backs. You know, even coming. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I just want to get too long. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, we could talk about this forever about running backs and, you know, every greatness and whatnot. But I know we're coming up over.
Sorry, Tiffany, we're rambling
here.
No, it's okay. I just don't even get too long.
Yeah. We got a whole off season.
Yeah, we do. But yeah, we'll definitely pick this back up tomorrow, and we can definitely, you know, continue more of this talk with, you know, running backs and what else is going on. But on the agenda tomorrow, we'll be talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. So once again, thank you guys for listening, and as always, we look forward to this football season with you, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
Sounds good. Talk to you tomorrow. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for doing, Chad.